You see, we all deserve financial freedom, and I help people achieve that by helping them get over the fear of starting their own business. I became an entrepreneur many years ago when I launched a few apps and I started my own software development and digital marketing company. And that's the good stuff. But we mostly share the good stuff and talk about our hero's journey going from being broke, which I was, to becoming a successful entrepreneur, which I feel is a never ending journey. But that's mostly the marketing story that gets the attention and excites people. But that's not the true story of my why. Why do I do what I do? And that story is my life's journey that goes long back to my childhood, and it's a bit awkward to share in the public, but I gotta do what I gotta do. See, I was born in an environment where money was the biggest struggle for my parents. My father was a businessman, but not all of his businesses were prosperous. There were few successes, but there were a lot of failures, and those failures led to some really tough times for my family. And I clearly remember the obstacles that my parents faced, even for the basic amenities. So at a very young age, I started hating entrepreneurship, even without fully understanding what it really was, because I was seeing my father fail at a few businesses. Now, because of the financial crisis that we were facing because of those failed businesses, my mother started doing a job and she started earning a living for the family. She took a lot of debt to make sure that my sister and I got proper education. So I went away from home for further studies, and for a while it seemed like things were getting on track for us. I will finish my studies, get a job, help my mom retire early, help my father bounce back in his business, and I was excited. But as we said, life had some other plans. So one weekend I came home to visit my family, and I remember that I ended up having an argument with my father, something that was related to money. And I told him that mom works really, really hard and your failed businesses are not helping at all. And now that I think about it, it was really childish of me to say that. And that very evening, he got really sick. He had a bit of an issue with his esophagus earlier, but it wasn't severe. But I took him to the government hospital, something that we could afford at the time, and I was alone with my father, rushing him between one department to another with him on the stretcher. And I remember that we were away from the emergency room waiting for one of the departments to open, and my father started feeling really uneasy. So I rushed back, I looked at him, I rushed back, I started pushing the stretcher as hard as I could while making sure that he wouldn't fall. And I think I was just 1 minute away when he stopped responding. And once I reached the ER, all the doctors came in, they rushed in, and they started reviving him with all these medical tools and electric shocks. It was tough to watch, and they tried a lot, but he was already gone, right in front of me. And the next few minutes were a complete blur, and I didn't know how to react. And I think I didn't cry at all, because in my mind I was thinking, how would I convey this to my mother and my sister who were back home? So I needed to act strong for my family, and I did. But I also blamed myself for years to come, because my last conversation with him was a baseless argument and I didn't even get a chance to fix it. I think it was at that point that I decided that I will follow his footsteps, I will overcome my fear of the entrepreneurship, and most importantly, I won't let money be the problem again. My mother supported my decision and she helped me tremendously to be the man that I am today. She worked at that job for 35 plus years. That's a long time before I was able to retire her. You see, for many years, I completely blacked out this memory of my father's death because it was just too difficult to share. But then I realized that this is my story. This is who I am, and this is my why. And if this could impact and change someone's life, then it's worth sharing. My father's death changed my life forever. It made me strong, but at the same time, it allowed me to be more mindful and practical towards life and overall be a good human being. Don't take your and your parents' life for granted. I only realized it when my father was gone. You see, in some of our darkest and most vulnerable hours, we gain clarity of our true purpose, and we remind ourselves to make the most of our time that we have in this world. You see, time is the most precious commodity. It is one thing that you cannot replace. You cannot go back. You cannot get more of your time. If you want to write a book but not finding the time, make time and just go for it. If you want to get fit but you're procrastinating, I would say just go for it and get started right now. If you're doing a job but you want to start your own business, I would say just go for it, because you can always get another job. Do what you want with your time right now. Be humble, be grateful, but be furious and take action.